How's the beard? Is it okay? I hope so. All right, let's start. Section 1.1, simple interest. As discussed, this whole chapter is about finance. Money. You're going to like it. We start off usually the point ones with some terminology. So, beginning, we have some basic terms that we're going to need throughout the entire chapter. First off is the concept of interest. Interest is the money paid for the use of money. Now here's the deal. For all these formulas, you could be the lender or the lendee. It does not matter what side of the fence you're on. So either you're paying the interest or the interest is being paid to you. Again, does not affect the formula either way. Next up is principal. As it says there, total amount invested or borrowed in the form of a loan or a savings account. Basically, it's the amount that you're starting with, is typically what the principal is. Later on, it'll have a different name, but for right now, we'll stick with the word principal. And last up is the rate of interest, which is fancy talk for interest rate. So that is the amount charged for the use of the principal for a given length of time, which is usually yearly, written as a percent. Now be careful though, when you actually go to use the interest rate in the formula, you need to turn it into a decimal. And to go from a percent to a decimal, you move the decimal point 2 places to the left, which is Beyonce's favorite direction. Next up, let's talk about the simple interest formula, which puts all three of those basic terms together. As it says there, if a principal P is borrowed at a simple annual interest rate R, lowercase r, written as a decimal, for a period of T years, the interest, capital I, charged is given by the formula I equals P times R times T. Now that formula, I equals P times R times T, only produces the interest. That's it. If you want the total amount after producing the interest plus the original principal, then that's the next line. The total amount, capital A, in the account after lowercase t years is given by A, which is equal to P, the principal, what you started with, plus the interest, PRT. And then notice that both terms have a P, so we can factor that P out, and you're left with P times the quantity, 1 plus RT. So, again, please note the difference. If you just want the interest, you use I equals PRT. If you want the total amount, you use A equals P times the quantity, 1 plus RT. Also, simple interest, these problems are simple because they actually say the word simple interest in the problem. However, the big overarching theme, and you'll hear this repeatedly, is that simple interest is only used if you're computing the interest once during the entire length of the loan. If you're computing the interest more than once, you do not use simple interest. So please try to understand that. Again, you're going to hear that throughout the entire chapter. And as always with anything, if you have questions, let me know. Make a note of your questions while you're watching the videos. And again, the best thing about the videos is you can pause, rewind. You could take selfies with me in the background as long as I'm photobombing them. So for instance, if you want to do one now, I'll do a face for you. All right, there you go. Pause it if you need to. Enjoy that. All right. The next slide, we have a little warning here. When using all these formulas, do not round early. Put the entire formula into your calculator. I will show you how to do that in the videos. And then hit enter or equal depending on your calculator. So for instance, if whatever reason you have the fraction 4/3 and you wrote it as 1.3, that's actually incorrect. It's going to greatly affect your answer because 1.3 repeating, which means you have infinitely many threes, that's the correct value. I would rather you have the calculator do the stuff for you. Do not find a fraction, use that approximation for the next step. Nope. Get used to putting the entire formula into your calculator. The hard part about chapter 1 is going to be how to properly use the calculator. Good news, you're going to get a lot of practice. You're welcome. But please, 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 please get used to your calculator. And I will say this in class anyways, I hope so, because it'll be in the future. Your calculator that you should have is a multi-line calculator. If you have a calculator where you see your input and the output on the same screen, you're great. If you have a single line calculator, which means you only see one or the other, I suggest going to the store and buying a multi-line calculator. You'll thank me later. It makes the problems a lot easier to have a multi-line calculator. All right, now you are up for some videos. We got simple interest parts 1 through 3. Enjoy.